Hi, good day everyone. So this is my learning magazine. So I used quotation as my cover. So assessment is the beauty of learning. When we evaluate our actions and then transform what we need to work on, not only will we succeed in learning new things, but also in other areas of our lives. If you look at the most successful people in the world today, one thing you would notice about them is their consistency in their assessment. Welcome! Tara, padayon ta! So hi, have a nice day. I would like to share what's inside in my learning magazine. I'm gonna show you now. So in my chapter 1,
Hey, good day everyone! Welcome back again to my Chica channel! And of course, I will not forget to rate my audience now. Good day everyone! So, I know you're watching. Let's go!
one.
Hi, good day everyone. Let's talk about what did I understand of all this assessment. So all in all, these assessments are very important, such as formative, summative, and all of those assessments are very necessary for us to understand, especially on students learning. It's because it's by that assessment we can have, or there's gonna be what we call effective communication. It's just like educative process, like you're getting feedback from the students, what you're teaching, so you're getting knowledge from them too, and then by that time, the students can get knowledge and learning from you too. So all in all, these are very important because these are all providing valuable information about students learning. They tell us what they have learned, how well they learned it, and where they struggled with. So that is very important. So these assessments are very necessary to understand.
So some current trends in assessment are the following: involving students in all aspects of assessment, from the setting of expected targets to checking on their progress in the course of the teaching to learning process, setting high performance and challenging standards, including world-class standards for interpreting assessment results, making standards and criteria known to all students and even parents rather than be secretive about them, to provide a clear picture of desired performance, and using computers as part of assessment. So, in reflection 1, in pursuit for quality education, assessment is vital and necessary because it's not only a pure evaluation but gives feedback for the teaching and learning fast, especially in testing its growth, development, and improvement. As we are shifting to our more technologically based learning, it's make our life and learning easier. So here are the trends that I remember that Soundtrack I developed all this. Stated that some current trends are using at least some performance-based assessment, and that means that the use of objectives such as alternative, matching type, and multiple choice is no longer adequate. And it is using multiple assessment methods to assess students, to use multiple choice tests to say, an interview, projects, and also a portfolio to self-evaluation. Again, it is emphasized that we have not to do away with objective tests that measure simple recall and having high performance standards, including world-class standards, or interpreting assessment results. So, let us set standards high. Also, making standards and criteria known to all students and even parents rather than secretive, to provide a clear image of desired performance. So let's go on to my chapter 2. So one word, OBE. What does this mean? This means that it is outcome-based education. So meaning, it is an education that is based on outcomes and not on content. So, anyways, this UBD, or Understanding by Design, developed by Wiggins and McTighe in 2004, and then Outcome-Based Education, or OBE, developed by William Spady. So,
outcomes are in different levels, from broad institutional outcomes to program outcomes to course outcomes to specific learning or situational outcomes.
what I understood about from this chapter 2 is we, as educators or teachers sooner, we must also consider the content or knowledge of the topic that we're going to deliver to the students, especially in terms of delivering examinations that is not really related to the topic that she or he discussed. But first of all, this must be the cycle of instructions that we will include the basic components or understanding to the students. It is very wrong if we're giving incorrect papers to the students, and of course that he or she get confused and shocked that why most of the students did not answer all those items. Why? It's because you're giving and making items this paper that is not there and you haven't discussed it yet. And then all of a sudden, the students will get very upset, of course, because sometimes it's too much for them. Yes, they studied everything there in the book, but if that is paper is not much, it doesn't make any sense to the students. So, I think it must be that educators should have evaluate themselves first, understand first, and make the lesson that is congruent with the objectives so that all students can gain knowledge from you and that they can understand easily if the topic or the content is very relatable to the objective. So, let's go on to my chapter 3. So according to Wiggins and McTighe, they are smartly described the 4 key types of educational goals. These are the knowledge, basic skills, long-term understanding, and long-term transfer goals. So the Bloom's taxonomy is imperative because it helps students to remember, understand, analyze, evaluate, and create something in that particular problem and content. So now let's watch it.
I understood that the institutional's vision, mission, and core values are very relevant sources in students' learning expectations. And also, for schools to be relevant, they should also consider the trust and development goals of national government in the formulation of the learning outcomes. It's because the schools are there for society, and also society is always there for schools.
The next one.
And also, I understood that the good learning outcomes is considered as smart, or what we also call SMART, which means specific. I mean, the acronym of the word SMART for learning outcomes is S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, and then R stands for result-oriented, and then T stands for time-bound. So that is very understandable.
So this is my reflection 3. What did I understand from chapter 3, especially to me as a student, is why we have to understand and keep our deepened vision, mission, and core values. It's because it's keeping a specific value central to operation. That is the key for reliable representations of a school in everything that it does when facing varying interest. A vision statement clearly provides the rationale every step of the way as the school grows and evolves to best serve the students. And not only that, when we talk about the Bloom's taxonomy, helps us to remember, understand, analyze, evaluate, and also to create. So if you knew this already, there's no problem at all because this will really help you a lot. And also, I will not forget this SMART acronym that is considered as the good learning outcomes, that the learning outcomes should be specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, and time-bound. So let's go on to my chapter 4. So, last week ago, we interviewed Dr. Silly Kukilia at Colegio ng Pantukan and she has chosen the authentic assessment. So this is what I understood.
Hi, good day everyone po, especially to our doctor, our instructor, Dr. Leader DP. Today, I will going to share something what I understood what they have said. So, according to some instructors or doctors that we interviewed last night, is they have chosen the authentic assessment because that is very better now in everything. And as what I understood is it educates us in how to assess and evaluate students in how perform and what they have done inside the classroom. So it shows, assessment shows that it refers to the process of gathering data and information about what students know and what students can do. So as a future educator or as a future teacher, it is very imperative to have appropriate assessment to deliver to your students.
So, when we talk about non-test assessment, it also refers to alternative assessment. It is an assessment that measures students' abilities directly with real tasks. And it also refers to formative assessment, which is an ongoing process to give feedback to students to increase their competence. So this non-test assessment techniques, it has examples. So first, games, projects, debates, checklist, cartooning, models, notes, panel discussion, demonstrations, discussions, problem solving, portfolio, teacher observation, slates or hand signals, daily assignments, and of course, journal. So, as we all know that the characteristics of the 21st century assessment are the following. It should be responsive, flexible, integrated, informative, multiple methods, communicated, technically sound, and also systematic. So, and when constructing performance tasks, we can use the grasp knowledge by Wiggins and McTighe in 2004. So, we have this acronym: the goal, the role, the audience, the situation, the product, standards and criteria, indicators. So the most important is to know these guidelines for performance assessment. First one, we have establishing clear purpose. Second, identifying observable criteria. Third one, providing an appropriate setting. Fourth one, judging or scoring the performance. So, this is my answer in the reflect number 1 and reflect. I have my reflect number 2. So, anyways, this is my performance task. I am using the grasp knowledge by Wiggins and McTighe in 2004. I have chosen the entrepreneurial skills, which is as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur. So, the goal for this is to sell the ice cream, to make money, and to become entrepreneur. The rule is I am a tester, buyer, cooker, seller, manufacturer, and to become entrepreneur. So audience, the target audience are the customers of generally different ages. So the situation here is there aren't enough ice cream shop or stores in my neighborhood. The product here is the ice cream, with the purpose of it is making money. So this is my performance task. So reflection number 4, I understood that assessment to be used is authentic assessment, and according to some instructors that we interviewed last time, they have chosen the authentic assessment, and of course most educators are using authentic. It's just because it is really helping the students to analyze what they've learned and apply it on their own experience. They don't have to memorize facts for a test, so they can use their creativity to show what they've learned. And that's why this authentic assessment is better than traditional assessment. It is also to provide students with the ample of opportunity to engage in authentic tasks so as to develop, use, and extend their knowledge in the higher order thinking and other 21st century competencies in this 21st century education, which is now student-centered. So let's move on into my chapter 5. So, when we say holistic rubrics, evaluate the writing task as a whole, using a single score or level to represent the overall quality or performance. So, when we say analytic rubrics, tend to work well for complex assignments. They allow more specific feedback for students, which can be particularly useful in guiding revision. So, and it is also good to use general rubrics. It's because by using general rubrics, students learn over time to focus on the general learning and skills that needed to be successful instead of what is needed to complete the task successfully. It is also good to use the task-specific rubrics because this is very helpful for assessments that require specialized performance criteria, making it difficult to use the same rubric across many different assessments. So anyways, these are my analytic rubric. These are my rubrics. The analytic rubric, I have holistic rubric. The next one, general rubric, and I did task-specific rubric. So the question is, which among the rubrics is appropriate at your performance task? For me, in my own connotation, it is the holistic rubric. It's because it is very good for evaluating the performance and the overall performance in a task either. It is tend to be easier to score. And aside from that, it emphasizes on what the learner is able to demonstrate rather than what she or he cannot do, as well as it is also saving time by minimizing the number of decisions raters make, and it makes easier for the reviewer to provide general comments. So I will choose holistic rubric. So, while I was making my learning magazine, I was thinking that there is something missing in my magazine, and that is the rubrics, because I have to make rubrics as the compilation for chapter 5. But anyways, before this, it's a little bit hard when making a rubrics, especially kinds of rubrics using the GRASP acronym by Wiggins and McTighe in 2004. So it was a little difficult because I have to think about what will be the goal of that, the role of that, who will be the audience, the real situation, and why you come up the task, the standards and criteria indicators that will really move your mindsets a lot. But this is so challenge, and all in all, it's amazing and challenging task while getting many ideas. So anyways, I communicated with the two KNP education tele students, which is Elsie and Kyla, and then Luchi from General Santos Academy, Sir Ed's instructor in KNP, and Ma'am Shalamida Tulaitan, instructor in Lawaan, and instructor Shahi Kirgilian from instructor from Miss Rubian School in California, private teacher. So these are my certificates of TM1, and these are my certificates of TM2. So I'm gonna tell the truth that the first time that I answered and took the test, I found it very difficult, especially since I couldn't yet get the certificate unless all the questions were marked and answered. One thing that I learned so much was I have to study the lessons, attempt quiz so that I can get certificate. After I'll attempt all quizzes, post-test and pre-test. So all in all, it's not never next to easy. So let's go on to chapter 6, my detailed learning magazine, chapter 6 to 7. So the primary purpose of an assessment portfolio is to document student learning on specific curriculum outcomes. The items in the portfolio should be designed to elicit to knowledge and skill specified in the outcomes. Assessment portfolios may be used to demonstrate mastery in any curricular area. And why we have to use this? Why we have to use portfolios? It's because portfolios can encourage students to take more ownership and responsibility over the learning process. In some schools, portfolios are a way for students to critique and evaluate their own work and academic progress, often during the process of deciding what will be included in their portfolios. So, in ways, a portfolio is a compilation of academic and professional materials that exemplifies your beliefs, skills, qualifications, education, training, and experiences. It provides insight into your personality and work ethic. So, what did I understand in this chapter 6 is, I know already that the portfolio assessment is an authentic form of assessment, and it is not just a collection or compilation of a student's output in the class only, but it is a systematic, organized, and purposeful collection of artifacts, productions, attestations, or reproductions. Especially the types of portfolio assessment, of course, it has to be that there is effective use of portfolios in assessment, such as establishing the purpose of the portfolio, involving the students in selecting portfolio materials, reviewing criteria for evaluation based on learning outcomes, and of course, scoring and judging is there by the use of rubric. So let's go on to my detailed learning in chapter 7. So, what is the meaning of e-portfolio? The e-portfolio is a collection of work or evidence in an electronic format that showcase learning over time. So, when you think about your e-portfolio and the types of evidence that it contains, it is important to think carefully about its purpose and intended audience. So, this is also good for teachers because when we say e-portfolio, the word E is electronic. So it refers to a teaching portfolio which is available online. It is a structured, reflective summary of documentation that discloses an applicant's approach to teaching practice and gives some indication of his or her effectiveness as a teacher. So these are the examples. So, while making e-portfolios using Canva, it is very challenging and very amazing because you can put whatever you want. You can design and put styles. Then, I did it. Now, let's watch. So next, to ensure that e-portfolios are used most effectively, the first one is we must explain the benefits of the use of e-portfolios to students. The second one, we should establish a clear expectation. The third one will provide heroes examples of successful e-portfolios created by a student, will scaffold student learning and walking the talk. Lastly, tie portfolio to assessment trick. So, what I learned from this chapter was, Why e-portfolio are also being called as communication and assessment tool? It's because e-portfolios are very effective learning tools because by that, they support students' own knowledge construction, make otherwise invisible aspects of the learning process visible, and place agency in the hands of students, which fosters learners' motivation. And also, e-portfolio can reflect a student's learning process and progress, and not only for the students, but also this will be beneficial for teachers because most of teachers are using e-portfolios to showcase their professional work. So, let's go on to chapter 8. So, according to Andy Hargreaves on assessment, measure what you value instead of valuing only what you can measure. So, the three domains. So, we have the psychomotor, the affective, and the cognitive domain. So, what is the goal of this Bloom's taxonomy? Why we need to understand? It's because the goal of an educator using Bloom's taxonomy is to encourage higher order thought in their students by building up from lower to level cognitive skills. So, first of all, I understood that the Bloom's taxonomy was developed to provide a common language for teachers and for them to discuss and exchange learning and assessment methods. Therefore, the specific learning outcomes can be derived from the taxonomy, though it is most commonly used of the educators to assess learning on a variety of cognitive levels. Also, the goal of an educator of using Bloom's taxonomy is to encourage many of the students and teachers to have higher order thought in their students by building up from lower to level cognitive skills. Basically, the Bloom's taxonomy helps to encourage and helps to teach students to make their own decisions just in a classroom setting, but also helps promote their life skills. So, chapter 9. What is formative assessment? So, when we say formative assessment, what is the goal for that? So the goal of formative assessment is to monitor student learning to provide ongoing feedback that can be used by instructors to improve their teaching and by students to improve their learning. More specifically, formative assessments help students identify their strengths and weaknesses and target areas that need work. So, formative assessment. When we say formative assessment, it is during learning. So, it is like this. So, scoring rubrics facilitate formative assessment in the sense that scoring rubrics give focus on questions to ask or things to perform or produce. So, self-assessment is an important feature of formative assessment because self-assessment makes the learner truly the agent of his or her own learning, and so ultimately becomes a more self-regulated and a more motivated learner. And in short, the formative assessment it is done to ensure learning. First of all, in the classrooms, formative assessment refers to frequent, interactive assessment of student progress and also their understanding to identify learning needs and adjust teaching appropriately. And now, we can ask, did the formative assessment task help students master what they were expected to learn? Yes, of course. In many cases, the assessments also help students develop a stronger understanding of their own academic strengths and weaknesses. And for me, when I'll become educator sooner, this formative assessment will enable me to better understand my students' learning. And that's gonna be so great. Chapter 10. So, when we say grading and reporting, why it is very important in teaching to learning? It's because grading systems communicate information about learning. just to help students to be proactive, overcome failures, and excel. In equitable schools and classrooms, grades will never be used as rewards, punishments, or tools to force compliance. The book is right because it should be that the parents are getting involved of their students' achievements, not just it's okay for them that their kids will get all the low scores or grades. That's why every meeting in school there should be a giving cards day so that the parents will know everything what they have done in school, if they are a good student or not, or they passed or failed. It's up on them how them as parents will discipline their kids. When parents are involved in their children's education, children are more likely to do well in school and have better social and emotional development. Parental involvement improves student achievement, self-esteem, and behavior. It also helps to build strong relationships between parents and their child's school. So, as I remember, there are two types of achievers, the underachievers and the overachievers. Those who are belong to overachievers, they are the smarter students in the classroom. That is why they are very confident to do tasks and all that. However, there are students sometimes that hardly getting good scores at least, but these are the students that are called underachievers. Like sometimes they don't want to listen, sometimes they will not ask some questions just as feedback if they understood something or not. These are the students who are under low grades and low scores. We have to understand this, that the student's progress must be reported to parents through report cards, written progress reports, and parents-teacher conference, which should be a regular feature of card giving day. So, I understood that when we say grading, it is used to evaluate and provide feedback on students' work. And by that way, the instructors communicate to students of how they are performing in the course and where they need more help to achieve the course's goals. And when we say about reporting, it can also be understood as the process of presenting the results of research and analysis or something, as well as tasks or presentations. All reports address some specific goal. They are structured to meet the reader's expectations and deliver accurate and objective content and aims to provide information, just like card giving day or report card. So, Chapter 11, we have the reflective practice using assessment data. So, reflective practice means teachers exploring their own beliefs and assumptions about learners, teaching the learning and assessment. And for continuing improvement, teachers must develop the habit of reflective teaching and assessment. Teachers do reflective practice when they track learner attainment of learning targets by using some common strategies like making diaries, bookmark objective cards, and also to monitor and evaluate learner progress and achievement. The teacher can use these different documents such as daily lesson log for a week, which shows the lesson for each day with the index of mastery computed accurately. The most reliable proof of effective teaching and assessment practice is students' learning manifested in the attainment of learning outcomes as expressed in test scores and grades. So, first of all, what I understood about this reflective practice is beyond casual thinking, so it requires a conscious effort to think about events and develop insights from them. All in all, it allows teachers to adjust and respond to issues. It helps teachers to become aware of their underlying beliefs and assumptions about learning and teaching. It helps teachers promote a positive learning environment. Also, reflective teaching involves examining one's underlying beliefs about teaching and learning and one's alignment with actual classroom practice before, during, and after a course is taught. When teaching reflectively, instructors think critically about their teaching and look for evidence of effective teaching. So that would be all. Thank you.